Good afternoon and welcome to today's program titled Patients, Not Prisoners, Designing Safe and Secure Patient Rooms and Bathrooms. I'm Tom Valentino, Senior Editor of Behavioral Healthcare. Today's program is sponsored by Whitehall Manufacturing. Thank you to our sponsor and to our audience for giving us your time and attention today. Before we get started, we have a few housekeeping details. Each window on your screen can be moved by clicking and dragging, or enlarged and minimized by clicking the icons in the top right corner of each window. Please use the Q&A area to the right of the slides to submit a question at any time. If you cannot see this area, simply click the red Q&A button. To download a copy of today's presentation, please click the link in the Resources area in the lower left of your screen. If you have any technical issues during the program, please click the yellow Help button to troubleshoot the issue. Finally, you can also tweet during today's webinar using the blue Twitter icon at the bottom of your screen. Click the Post and Authorize buttons to log into your Twitter account and begin sharing automatically at the hashtag BHLiveWebinar. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers today. Kristin Kahle is the Vice President at Whitehall Manufacturing and has worked in the commercial plumbing industry for more than 20 years. In 1998, she started the luxury plumbing brand Neo Metro out of parent company Acorn Engineering Company, now renamed as Morris Group International, which specializes in durable commercial and correctional fittings. Kristin's experience in the plumbing industry and extensive knowledge of the hospitality, architecture, and design markets combined to create Neo Metro's line of fully customizable plumbing fixtures. Steve McIntosh is Whitehall's healthcare specialist. In this position, Steve is responsible for coordinating sales efforts with the company's independent representatives and promoting products to architects, engineers, and end users. Steve brings more than 25 years of experience in healthcare and medical sales to Whitehall Manufacturing. Before joining Whitehall, Steve worked as the National Business Development Manager, Plumbing Division for Component Hardware Group. Thank you, Kristin and Steve, for taking the time to speak with us today. And with that, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. So today, we are going to teach you about some, here's my next slide here. Let's go to it, sorry. About ligature-resistant design, and specifically ligature-resistant design and how to incorporate that into patient rooms and bathrooms. Okay? So our parent company, as Tom was discussing, is called Morris Group International, but prior to being Morris Group International, it was known as Acorn Engineering Company. Acorn Engineering Company has been a leader in the correctional facility manufacturing process for a very long time, and Whitehall is one division of that. So our company is a family-owned business. We are based out of California, and we do manufacture and fabricate all of our own products. So everything today that we're going to be speaking about, we actually do, we work with the design process and the manufacturing process all together. So some of our capabilities, we include fabrication, machining, assembly, polishing, plating, all kinds of different things. So just know that you can always come to visit us. We encourage to have architects, contractors, facility managers, anyone involved in this process with the healthcare process to come and actually see their material being designed and manufactured at our plant. So within the Whitehall Manufacturing part of our company, I'm trying to get this a little more granular here, we manufacture healthcare products. So we do attend the healthcare design shows, but now we've gotten into the behavioral healthcare market. And with this market, we have a brand name called BestCare. And what we're trying to show you today is how we're trying to eliminate the look and feel of a prison fixture in a behavioral healthcare setting. We've given an example here in this frame. So before we get into products, let's talk a little bit about just the state of mental health in America. I know that quite a few of you have large background in this, so we encourage feedback too. But let's just go through a couple stats here. I'm not going to read through all these, but the big issue is that it is a $450 billion loss for our U.S. economy. A lot of folks don't have treatment, and quite a few, as you see our stat here, 4 adults in the United States actually have a mental health. So obviously, that's gone into a larger market, and we've gotten a lot more attention into the behavioral health care arena. So some more stats here, and you can see the folks that we're all coming from. But the big statistic here is that someone attempts suicide once every minute and completes a suicide once every 17 minutes. It's a very large statistic, unfortunately. And no surprise, the largest subset of that population is the military veterans. So in what we're talking about today, we work in a lot of different types of facilities. So we know there's different treatment centers, but we also do work with the VA hospitals, for example. And this statistic is the one that I want to point out to on here, is that unfortunately 22 veterans commit suicide per day. So quite a large statistic, unfortunately. So what does this all mean? It means that we need to provide patient rooms, patient bathrooms that are safe for these folks. So that's what we are trying to do, is manufacture products that maintain patient safety while also making the environment functional. So anyhow, the way to do this is, how do you segment a behavioral health care facility or a room? So say that, for example, we're talking about a large acute care hospital. They have to make a specific now behavioral health care room because perhaps Joint Commission has come in and said that they need to be doing this. So now, how do you make a room that does not have that is not stigmatized? Okay, that this person knows that they're going to the special behavioral health care room, but in addition, it has to address ADA issues. It has to address bariatric issues, and then lastly, what we're talking about today is it has to address ligature-resistant issues too. So what we're suggesting, and what has been in the marketplace now, is this whole design trend of universal rooms. So everything that you make in this room can apply to all of these different. Some of them are codes, or some of them are just applications. Okay? So just in the whole design world here, color is a big issue. My only slide that I have on color, but it comes up quite a bit, so we thought we would add this, but found that in this particular segment, the color that is most beneficial is blue. It does make you relax and calm. And then also green, also obviously some sights of nature. And then down here I also have something on pink. Interesting that pink, if it is combined or it's used correctly, it actually can decrease depression. So another part, or something else you should consider in designing rooms, is making them very welcoming, of course. We all, I think, can agree upon this, that having sights of nature, having a window, seeing plants, seeing the sky, definitely makes this whole area seem less institutional. Remember, we don't want something that looks like a prison. We want something that looks more like a residential setting, somewhere that makes us comfortable. And as we know, if we do make this more comfortable, it does decrease hospital stays and helps the patients. Okay, so now we're getting a little more granular here. So how does that work with reducing suicides too? Well, in patient rooms in behavioral health care, we have found out that 75% of all suicides occur in a patient's bathroom. And of course, what does that happen when someone unfortunately does have a sentinel event? That means that the facility unfortunately has to pay out some legal claims on this. So this is what we're all about reducing. I don't want any of these sentinel events to actually happen. So that's why we're going to be focusing on bathrooms here. Okay? So what is a ligature point? We get this question a lot. So in this slide, we've done some different call-outs on just taking a typical bathroom and showing how many potential ligature points there could be. So everything from paper towel holders to shower seats to sinks, flush valves. If you can see this in this slide, there is a toilet in the flushometer. We call them flush valves, flushometers. Grab bars, those can come down. So just in this example alone, quite a few ligature points. And what is a ligature? Actually, my coworker is going to be speaking later. He's going to be going into specifically what are ligature points, but it's ones that you can actually grab onto. So in this next slide, I'm going to actually ask you, our audience, to take a look at this slide and figure out how many ligature points there are. Give you a few moments to do this. Give you the answer in a second. Unfortunately, I can't give you a prize here, but perhaps on our tweets or on the emails you can tell how many you think. Okay, so I'm going to change the slide here. You count 19 different ligature points. So the one that everyone generally does not realize is actually the drain down there. But we'll get a little bit more into this. And now I'm going to turn it over to my coworker, Steve.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to talk first a little bit about where you can turn for what to do for patient rooms. For acute care facilities, there are some pretty specific guidelines that you can use for how to design the patient room. Things like the Facilities Guideline Institute and OSHPD have very specific codes. But for behavioral health care facilities, what we find is that there are more recommendations than there are strict standards. And there has been quite a bit of product testing done, but there are also many variables to keep in mind, such as patient comfort and dignity, as we say, patients, not prisoners. There are varying levels of security needed depending on the type of patients that you have. There could be high security or in a different area, low security, and a mix of those. But you still want to keep things in mind, like having a good design for your room. And you have to keep in mind how much funding you have and just physical obstacles for the building itself, like if you have asbestos in the walls that you might have to keep in mind when you're doing renovations. So facilities and architects and engineers sort of have to interpret the available information. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about how testing is actually done. Products are tested to determine if you can tie anything around it or loop around it to achieve ligature, to be able to tie around the physical item and then tie the other end around your neck for ligature. And some of the things that they use to do this testing are shoelaces, a computer mouse with a cord, iPod headphones, things like that. So they try and tie around the different objects within the room. The other thing that is done for testing is to try and wedge a paper clip into a crevice or to use something like a plastic knife to try and wedge a cord or a lace into a crevice to try and get it to stay there so that you can apply. The standard now is 11 pounds of force. If you can't pull the cord or lace loose with less than 11 pounds, it is a ligature point. One of the guidelines that you can go by are the whole building design guide, and this takes into account more of the building itself, how to set up the building, how to design the actual space so that you can easily supervise patients, you have good line of sight to where the patients are, having central meeting areas for the staff and patients, but still providing smaller private areas so that patients can visit with their families. What types of materials to use so that it's bright and cheerful and not just sort of drab areas. what's really important, as Kristin mentioned before, having a window for every patient so that they have views of outdoors, and even if possible, having a control area where patients can go outside. And then doing things to control noise so that it's just not a continual noises that can be disturbing to the patients, and then allowing the patients to have privacy. One of the behavioral healthcare design guidelines is put out by an organization called NAPHS, the National Association of Psychiatric Health Systems, which is a really important group in behavioral healthcare. In addition to the design guideline, it's a really important group that tries to get additional funding for behavioral healthcare to try and tie together behavioral healthcare records and physical health records so that patients' care is seamless, whether it's a behavioral issue or a physical issue. And they do a lot of good work. It's really an organization that you should check out. So they put out a design guidebook. The design guidebook that I hear about most often in my travels is put out by the Office of Mental Health for the state of New York. And really, they've done a lot of the hard work in testing actual products. So quite a few other states defer back to the state of New York guidebook because the work's already been done. So what they do is physical products are sent to an architecture firm called Architecture Plus. They install and test the products to see if they can get ligature, and then twice a year put out a design guidebook. Usually it's updated in January and July, and it covers actual products that go into the entire building, whether it's door hardware, HVAC system grates, windows. There's whole sections on plumbing and on bath accessories, things like that. So you can find this online with the State of New York Office of Mental Health, and it's really an important guidebook. And I've heard about it not just in New York, but in Canada. I've heard about it in visits to Toronto. It's been talked about when I've been in Florida, California, really all over the country. So it's one that people defer back to quite a bit. One of the other design guidebooks is put out by the Department of Veterans Affairs, a very comprehensive guide to designing the entire facility, sort of like the whole building design guide, where it talks about how to physically lay out the building so that you have the types of areas that you need. They show types of products to use, but don't call out products by brand name. But they point out what to look for and what not to look, what to avoid. So it's a good guidebook to check out as well. One thing that we've done on our own is put out a facility checklist. And what drove us to do this is we get calls a lot of times, people asking about one specific product, like they're renovating their facility and they ask about faucets. And we've asked, well, have you thought about the other products? What are you doing for grab bars, for the sinks, toilet paper holders, toilets? And a lot of times it's things that they haven't really thought about. So we put together a checklist so you can go through there and really look at, just like the slide that showed 19 individual ligature points, it can help you to find everything in the room that you need to think about instead of just the faucet or just a sink. And this the facility checklist is available on our website by download, or you can send us an email and we can send it out to you. So one of the things that we really keep in mind when we're designing our products are products for new construction, having them be anywhere from high to low security, but still with a pleasing appearance. We have a full package of products. There's no need to mix and match among different manufacturers and make sure things work together. We do package pricing based on the more things you group together, the better pricing we have. We can do custom colors. So we can modify the products to fit into your design. We include things like mounting brackets with sinks and toilets so that for the contractor it's easy to install. If you do need higher level of security, we can provide wall carriers for things like our sinks so that you get increased weight capacity. We make our faucet valves so they're easy to mount, easy to install when they're combined with our sink. We have toilets that fit every different configuration for where the waste is, either floor or wall, and where the supply is as well. And we provide products for surface mount or recessed mounting into the wall. We have full installation manuals available on our website, and we try to put those right in the box as well. And then we offer a full warranty. And if you do run into problems, we have a field service department that can either try and talk you through issues over the phone or by email, or if it's really a big problem, we can send a field service person out to your facility. So why would you need to retrofit? These are some pictures that we've taken in different facilities. You can see, like in the shower, it's a shower outlet for a handheld shower. If you look closely, though, even though the handheld shower is gone, something is tied around the connector that's on there. If you can tie around there like that, it'd be fairly simple to tie a lace on there for ligature. You see everywhere flush valves that you can easily tie around, toilets that don't go back to the wall. You can see wall-hung toilets that are easy to tie around. I've had people mention to me they didn't really consider that anything, and it was very specific, 6 inches to the ground or closer was not an issue, but there have been quite a few cases of people tying a sheet or a lace or something like that around a wall-hung toilet and then doing what they call an alligator roll on the floor to tighten the sheet or the lace around their neck. So you really have to consider things everywhere in the room, not just things that are at eye level. This is an example of a facility in East Texas that we worked with. They've done some work to make it ligature resistant, making a cover over the flush valve for the toilet and a cover over the P-trap and drain and supply lines under the sink. But there's still a toilet seat that could be taken off and either tied around or taken off and used as a weapon. There's a bathtub that you could fill with water and potentially drown yourself. The back of the toilet is it's a little bit narrower towards the wall, so you can tie around that, and it's a vitreous china or porcelain toilet that can be broken. So the picture on the right is what it looked like after renovations. A solid surface sink that looks really nice. Toilet, it's a stainless steel toilet that can't be broken with a cover for the flush valve. Ligature resistant shower, recessed soap dish, and a mirror that's stainless steel so it can't be broken. And here are just a few more pictures of some facilities that we've helped with renovations. So one of the products I'd like to talk about is our ligature-resistant sinks and faucets. Some things to keep in mind: it can be either solid surface or a powder-coated stainless steel for a little bit higher security. We provide the sinks with tamper-resistant screws so that the shroud that's over the P-trap and drain and supply lines, that shroud can't be easily removed. We can provide a sink with bariatric weight capacity that would withstand a weight up to 1,000 pounds. And that can be really important. You know, you think, well, we don't have 1,000-pound patients in our facility. One time I was talking to a gentleman that owned a juvenile facility and you think, juvenile, it's kids, what he reminded me is that juveniles can be 17 years old and 300 pounds. And left to their own devices, they do things like jump on sinks. So having a sink that can hold a weight of 1,000 pounds can be really important. And then we provide faucets that have sloped surfaces to minimize ligature points. And we provide faucets that can be used both for new construction and retrofit. And here's some different examples of our ligature-resistant sinks. Stainless steel sink that still looks very nice, solid surface sink, and then the bariatric sink that would hold up to 1,000 pounds. For the solid surface sinks, a Blanco white color is our standard, but we can also produce them in 9 other standard colors that we call Cortera, which is a solid surface material. So we can make sinks to match your design in the facility. We can add SteriTouch antimicrobial. We make these in-house. We make a mold and cast the solid surface in one piece, so there's no cracks and crevices, and it's also easily repairable. For faucets, we have a new faucet that's going to be coming out in the very near future that you see in the upper left. That's really very attractive faucet. You could use it in any patient room for acute care or behavioral health care, wherever you needed it. So you could have one faucet throughout the facility. We have faucets that would cover for retrofit, either take the place of a 4-inch or an 8-inch faucet because of the cover plate. They can have pneumatic valves or piezo buttons. Piezo buttons are something with your sense of touch activates it. So for either the piezo or our new sensor faucet, you can have either battery or AC powered faucets. And just a tip, if you are putting manual faucets in with either the piezo or pneumatic buttons, it's really nice to provide both a hot and cold type of faucet instead of just a single temperature. Patients prefer to have choice. And just think about it. If you'd like to brush your teeth, you would like some cold water. If you are washing your face, you might want warm water. So give people a choice by having both hot and cold water. For ligature-resistant toilets, what we make are stainless steel toilets that are powder-coated white. The reason being, 2 main reasons. One, a vitreous china toilet can be broken. If it's broken, you have potential weapons with pieces of porcelain china. And also, just by breaking the toilet, you have a big mess from water and potentially waste going all over the floor. So we make heavy gauge stainless steel toilets to minimize the potential for breakage. We powder coat them white so they still look like a regular vitreous china toilet, although they can't be broken. And the other thing, because we manufacture them in-house, we can modify them to fit your facility instead of you having to change your facility to match our toilets. We can do a lot of different combinations, either standard or ADA height. We can have wall outlet for the waste or a floor waste. And you can have the supply either with a recessed panel in the wall or a top supply with a cover over the flushometer or flush valve. The toilets are floor mounted and they also go back flush to the wall, so there's no way to loop or tie around them. And because they are stainless steel, they'll support up to about 3,000 pounds. So patients jumping on them, standing on them, they're not going to break like a vitreous china toilet would break. We also can modify them. As I mentioned, we can modify the toilets to fit your facility. This is a picture from a VA hospital that had wall-hung toilets, and they knew that they were a hazard. So if you have a wall-hung toilet, you have something called a carrier that goes in the wall. It's a metal brace that's attached within the wall, and you have either 3 or 4 bolts that come through the wall that the toilet hangs on. If you need to replace that wall-hung toilet with a floor-mounted toilet, what people considered was that they would have to open the wall and remove that carrier so it's not in the way. So what we have done is made floor-mounted toilets that go back to the wall. We can modify them so they're extra wide, and it actually covers over the carrier so you leave the carrier in place. So we did this first for a hospital in Long Island where they had occupied patient rooms and they were at capacity. They had nowhere to move the patients to do renovations. If they had to open the wall, they were pretty sure there was asbestos in the wall, and it would turn into a whole abatement project instead of just swapping out toilets. So what we did is we made extra wide toilets that fit right over the carrier that was in the wall. They took the patients out of the room and had them go to a day room for a few hours, removed the wall-hung toilets, and replaced with a floor-mounted toilet that went back to the wall. There was no need to open up the wall, do any repairs to the wall. They were able to swap out toilets in a matter of hours instead of the project potentially turning into weeks. We also, for a more residential look, do a stainless steel toilet that works just like your home toilet with a tank. It's a tank-style toilet. The benefit of this is it hooks up to a half-inch water supply, where our other toilets use more of a commercial-sized water supply. So it looks like something you could have in your home. We can do them in standard or ADA height. And again, it hooks up to a half-inch water supply. So if you're renovating something like a group home that wasn't really built with commercial plumbing in mind, you can easily do renovations. One of our new products that's also coming out just like the sensor faucet is a permanently attached toilet seat. We've had objections in the past that people don't want to sit, even though it's powder-coated white, they don't want to sit directly on the toilet. So we have developed a permanently attached toilet seat, which is made of a non-breakable polymer. It's fixed in place. There are no ligature points. It contains an antimicrobial additive. The ones in the picture here are white. We can also make them in gray, or we even had a request from a facility that has a problem with, you wouldn't think this would be an issue, but patients smoking in the bathrooms and leaving cigarettes on the toilet seats and leaving burn marks. So we're going to be making them in black as well, so that it'll hide burn marks. Really add some dignity to being able to use a toilet, not sitting directly on stainless steel, but having a toilet seat that you're sitting on. One of the big issues that we've heard from facilities managers is that patients flood the rooms. And it's not just the bathroom. If it's not caught in time, it can flood the patient's bedroom, go out into the hallway. And what we've heard from facilities managers is that they can have patients that get fixated with floor drains and roll up little pieces of paper and stuff them in the drains. I was told that you can't imagine how much time they spend cleaning out floor drains. In addition to stuffing them with paper, they can be, a small drain can be covered over with a towel or a face cloth to cause flooding. And it really creates both an environmental and a security hazard. So what we have developed for patient rooms are linear drains, or Some people know them as a trench drain. They're good, again, for universal design. They can go in any patient room. It's ADA accessible when it's set into the floor. A wheelchair can be rolled right across this. One of the benefits is that they can be long enough that they're not easily covered up entirely by a towel or a face cloth to help prevent flooding. They're ligature resistant, and they really look nice in the room. So we do have a full line of linear drains when you're doing either new construction or renovations. If you have to, we also have small round floor drains, about 6-inch diameter. If you are doing renovations, the round floor drains are set into concrete, so it's not easy to just remove the entire drain and replace it. So we can, on occasion, make a new grate to go on your floor drain. It would have small holes to prevent ligature and prevent paper being stuffed into it. Or even better, for new construction, we have floor drains that can be set right into the concrete in the floor. And they're completely ligature resistant. Nice design. They can be rolled over with a wheelchair, so good for any room that you're working on, not just behavioral health care. And we also do showers, which can be set into a tile wall or a solid surface wall. They can be surface mounted with sloped sides, or they can also be recessed into the wall. We do showers with single shower head or dual shower heads with a diverter for ADA accessibility. The shower valve itself, we make ourselves. It's pressure and temperature balanced, so you don't get water temperature spikes or fluctuations in the water pressure. It's a non-rising stem, so as you adjust the water temperature, the handle doesn't move out from the wall, leaving a gap behind it. And it's a really nice designed shower valve, so it can be used in any room, whether it's behavioral health care, ADA accessible. It can go into any room that you're designing. And we also have a full line of accessories. I'll turn it back over to Kristin for a discussion of our behavioral health care accessories.
Thank you, Steve. So now we went away from, if you're familiar with the construction code, that was Section 15 plumbing. Now we're going to move into what's called, it was Section 22 now. It used to be 15 to us old timers. Now we're going into Section 10, so quite a few of accessories. So first we do have a bunch of different grab bars, many different sizes. These are graspable, so they can be ADA, and they have weeples for water drainage. Then we get into some room accessories. So in the upper left-hand corner, I am showing a different type of mirror. Steve showed us before the stainless steel mirrors. Now we have some seamless solid surface and stainless steel mirrors. So all those sinks, and you saw those colors that we have, now we can have matching mirrors. So we're trying to make these rooms look much more aesthetic than we did before. In the right-hand corner here, we have an adjustable clothes hook. And with these adjustable clothes hooks now, the nice part is that the facility manager can adjust the pound, the breakaway, So we can adjust it from anywhere from 10 pounds to -2 pounds. And all you do is use an Allen wrench into the hole there. So the nice part is some different facilities, they will use bath towels, bathrobes, and some other facilities won't allow that. So anyhow, it's really up to your facilities that these can be adjustable. And we have a variety of different soap dishes and shelves and recessed shelves and so many other items that I just showed a few of them here on the slide. So we're going into paper towel and toilet paper holders. And this, again, is what we're calling universal design. This particular toilet paper and towel holders have breakaways that do not require a spindle. Now, at first, I didn't think this was a big deal, but I went to a facility just a few weeks ago in Florida. spoke to a facility manager, and he goes, "Are you kidding me? We don't have to keep replacing all the spindles. First, they can be used as weapons. Secondly, I always have to replace them." And this is actually an acute care hospital that does have some behavioral health care rooms. So what this person said is, let's just use this in every room so I don't have to have that expense. He actually looked on his ledger and came back to me and showed me that it was $18,000 he used on spindles alone. Not see my slide there. Okay, here. Sorry, a little bit of technical difficulties. Okay, so I'm hoping everyone can see this, but our next slide here, we're showing fire extinguisher cabinets. So we have a variety of different cabinets. So we have ones that we can actually powder coat in your color, or they actually come prime coated so that you can paint them to match any of your facility. And our next slide here is recessed bottle and cup fillers. And the beauty about these is that they have a generic filter with them that can be purchased at any of your typical hardware stores from Home Depot, etc. Some of the other bottle filler, cup fillers on the marketplace, you do have to or are required to use their filters. Sorry here, bear with me for a second. Can't see on my end a couple of these slides, but there we go. Okay. So I can finally see it here. So that kind of concludes some of our product offering. What we like to let you know is that we have a lot of tools for you that you can use in the field. So we have what's called a mobile showroom, and we actually take our showroom to you. So need it be a facility, an architect, engineer, you name it, we will bring everything to you. And we have a lot of the products we spoke about today, in addition to scrub sinks, inspection sinks, a lot of solid surface sinks because we can customize that. A lot of different designs come up, so we can bring it to you. And then last but not least, I just want to tell you that we really appreciate any type of feedback from you. This is kind of a new field. It's not a new field, specifically, but just designing for it, I think we've gotten a lot more attention. So what we like to hear from is we like to hear from the facility managers, from architects, the engineers, the practitioners, and what really works for you guys, or what do you see as a need in the field. So we love for you to come see our facility. We have a full research and development capabilities here, but we're always asking for your input because you are the ones that know really what works and doesn't work and what you need. So in conclusion, I hope that Steve and myself presented you with some information on just some overall design, making some of these bathrooms specifically, and then some of the patient rooms a little bit more warm and welcoming. And obviously we want to make everything healthier and safer places for all. And that includes the whole concept of universal design so we can maintain ADA, bariatric, all those different codes we have to comply to. So that is it for me. I guess now we're going to open it up to some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Kristin and Steve. Very informative presentation there, really good stuff. We have already had a number of questions from our audience that have come in. However, we want to remind everyone there that you can use the Q&A widget below the slides on your screen to submit a question at any time. All right, let's get into the first question here. Can the floor-mounted ligature-free toilet and retrofit options include a rear discharge?
Steve, do you want to answer?
Yes, they can. Absolutely. We do a rear discharge or a floor discharge, and in most cases we can actually do this so that it matches the existing the existing plumbing rough-ins in your facility, so it can speed up the renovation process.
Okay. Are there any particular important considerations specific to children and adolescent inpatient psychiatric units? And is there a standard or useful guide for this?
Want me to answer? I'll answer this, Kristin. You can go, Steve.
Okay.
Go.
Yeah, something that, to keep in mind is just sort of the different patient populations that, I've been in facilities that they have varying different degrees of security. So in something that's for a lower security area, you can have the solid surface sinks with, you can use some brighter colors if it's an adolescent area. And then in a high security, more of the stainless steel, but we can even powder coat different colors for stainless steel. But one of the things that I hear from time to time facilities managers is that a lot of times adolescents can actually be rougher on the products than adults. And you think of, even like in a school setting, things tend to get broken more, just, they're adolescents that tend to do things like that more. So you really do, even though they may not be fully grown adults, you do have to keep in mind that they may be doing more damage to the environment just because they could be bored and looking for something to do, unfortunately.
When you're talking with facility managers, what are some of the biggest pain points that they're presenting to you, and how does that go into the products that you're developing?
How about I'll answer this first, and then Steve, you can add to this. So facility managers, we find it's always about cost and budgets. So that's normally what comes up is, I want to retrofit this entire bathroom, but I'm thinking just doing the faucet. And, they say they don't have funding. So kind of what we come around, and it's back to that whole universal design concept is, you're using this particular faucet. You can use this faucet throughout your entire facility, so you can keep your costs down, you can keep your inventory amounts down. But that's what we see a lot of, and we see a lot of folks just coming and saying, I really don't know what to, where to start. Can you give us an idea? So, Steve, do you have more to add?
Yeah, one of the things that I hear is that just by virtue of the fact that we use tamper-resistant screws and try and cover different parts of the product and contain things, that the patients aren't able to damage things as much, so it makes their life easier. The less that patients can get to different parts of the products, the less work it is trying to maintain them for the facilities managers. And I go back to the drain discussion that I had, that the facility manager said, you really can't imagine how many hours a week we spend cleaning paper out of drains. So having something with small holes that you can't stuff paper into would make their life so much easier.
It's something I hear about facility managers, that comes up are sensor faucets versus, just manual faucets. Because the facility managers we find want to use everything manual because they feel that sensors, a lot of times they have to maintain them more. So everything's about finding something really easy to maintain.
All right. We have a question from our audience asking anything in regards to ligature-free doors and hinges?
We at Whitehall don't really get into ligature-free doors and hinges, but if you, in particular, the Office of Mental Health for the state of New York, if you look at their design guidebook, they can give you some very clear suggestions on what to use, what not to use, and even specific brands that they would recommend.
Okay. For toilets, there's a solid surface style toilet available specifically for behavioral health. How does this compare to stainless steel?
Well, this is Kristin. I'm going to talk. So, I've worked with this company for several years, and we come from the prison industry. So, we manufacture everything out of stainless steel, but then it depends on the facility, because if you're talking, almost a cross between, here in California, I'm in California, and we have the correctional facilities that actually have their section of behavioral health care, they want to use stainless steel because it cannot break, and you're not going to have an issue with it. Where solid surface, just in general, is a little more aesthetic, but it's very indelible, but yet there is that point that could potentially break. So we try to separate our products into high security, and then ones that are a little more aesthetic, a little more of what you find in your house. So the issue with solid surface toilets simply is that they can be broken.
And just tagging onto that, if you fabricate it from stainless steel, it can be easily modified to fit the building. Where if it's cast in a mold out of solid surface, you're sort of you're stuck with what size the mold is, and you would have to have a different mold for every different possible combination. If we're fabricating it out of stainless, it's easy for us to modify them even room by room if you need to.
Okay. We asked earlier for the input you've gotten from facility managers. Have you asked patients in these facilities what they would like to see in their bathrooms, and if so, what were the responses?
Well, I've been in a number. Yeah, I've been in a number of facilities, but have dealt more with the facilities people and the clinical people than, as opposed to dealing directly with the patients. I guess what, just sort of anecdotal, what we've heard is they, things like they want a toilet seat to sit on, not stainless steel. They want just to be able to wash their hands and have a choice of hot and cold water is really important. Having a choice of being able to, even the showers, some showers can be made with a push button so it just comes on, but having a choice of water temperature between, cold water and warm water, depending on their mood or what they want, being able to have a choice is really important instead of being dictated, this is all you're going to get. So I guess it's more anecdotal that I hear patients want choice than direct interaction with patients.
All right. Well, very good. I think that is going to be just about all the time that we have for questions for today. I do want to thank Kristin Kahle and Steve McIntosh once again for their excellent presentation. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Whitehall Manufacturing, for making today's program possible. Finally, thanks to all of you and our audience for participating today. We got a lot of great questions out there, and we hope you will join us in the future for another behavioral healthcare webinar. This concludes today's presentation. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's program titled Patients, Not Prisoners, Designing Safe and Secure Patient Rooms and Bathrooms. I'm Tom Valentino, Senior Editor of Behavioral Healthcare. Today's program is sponsored by Whitehall Manufacturing. Thank you to our sponsor and to our audience for giving us your time and attention today. Before we get started, we have a few housekeeping details. Each window on your screen can be moved by clicking and dragging, or enlarged and minimized by clicking the icons in the top right corner of each window. Please use the Q&A area to the right of the slides to submit a question at any time. If you cannot see this area, simply click the red Q&A button. To download a copy of today's presentation, please click the link in the Resources area in the lower left of your screen. If you have any technical issues during the program, please click the yellow Help button to troubleshoot the issue. Finally, you can also tweet during today's webinar using the blue Twitter icon at the bottom of your screen. Click the Post and Authorize buttons to log into your Twitter account and begin sharing automatically at the hashtag BHLiveWebinar. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers today. Kristin Kahle is the Vice President at Whitehall Manufacturing and has worked in the commercial plumbing industry for more than 20 years. In 1998, she started the luxury plumbing brand Neo Metro out of parent company Acorn Engineering Company, now renamed as Morris Group International, which specializes in durable commercial and correctional fittings. Kristin's experience in the plumbing industry and extensive knowledge of the hospitality, architecture, and design markets combined to create Neo Metro's line of fully customizable plumbing fixtures. Steve McIntosh is Whitehall's healthcare specialist. In this position, Steve is responsible for coordinating sales efforts with the company's independent representatives and promoting products to architects, engineers, and end users. Steve brings more than 25 years of experience in healthcare and medical sales to Whitehall Manufacturing. Before joining Whitehall, Steve worked as the National Business Development Manager, Plumbing Division for Component Hardware Group. Thank you, Kristin and Steve, for taking the time to speak with us today. And with that, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. So today, we are going to teach you about some, here's my next slide here. Let's go to it, sorry. About ligature-resistant design, and specifically ligature-resistant design and how to incorporate that into patient rooms and bathrooms. Okay? So our parent company, as Tom was discussing, is called Morris Group International, but prior to being Morris Group International, it was known as Acorn Engineering Company. Acorn Engineering Company has been a leader in the correctional facility manufacturing process for a very long time.